there. Welcome everybody to the Absolute Advantage After Show. We're super excited to have you with us. And we just wrapped up a podcast conversation with Andrew Tarvin, who is the CEO of Humor That Works. And really his message is centered around humor in the workplace.
Yes.
And is related to connectivity, it's related to influence, it's related to so many different things. And I think really the bottom line is that it's related to having more fun and joy.
Yes.
And so that was a huge takeaway for me. And it is just like, we should all be working at finding more joy and more opportunity to bring joy. And we spend so much time at work, so why not?
Exactly.
Like why, it's a perfect place to do it. And so I thought that was great.
Yeah, no, and I loved how he said, like, literally, most people spend in their lifetime 90,000 hours at work. So it was like, yeah, I guess if you're going to spend 90,000 hours at something, you might as well have some fun while you're doing that.
Yeah.
So I love the whole idea around it, and I love the connection to improv. So he talked about, there were two different kind of areas that we talked about specifically related to improv and then to stand up. And the connection he made to improv is really learning to react honestly and in the moment and be fully present.
Right.
And, so it's that whole concept around yes and.
Uh-huh.
So if this is true, then what else is true? And so I love the whole kind of conversation around that. So that's definitely worth a listen. But
yeah.
Again, improv about reacting honestly and in the moment and being fully present. And I thought, well, that as far as a leader and those connections and really showing up in a way, I mean, that is going to be extremely impactful.
Makes great sense.
Yes.
I love that yes and concept and just kind of, asking more, connecting more, digging deeper versus the yes but. Which is, something that I think gets us into trouble.
Yeah.
And it's just opening up an opportunity where it seems, adversarial or like
negative.
There's argument or negative, exactly, contradictory or, a much better place to be with the yes and concept.
Mm-hmm.
So I did love that.
The one concept that was really interesting, and I spoke about this in the actual interview itself, but I had never, until I started doing a little bit of research around Andrew and then further into this discussion, I'd never thought about humor being a strategy from a communication standpoint. And what he's talking about with using humor, it's not just about how, like being funny or anything along those lines. It's about being really strategic and intentional about the way that you use humor. So like you're thinking about it. He's got a strategy, a map.
Very tactical.
It's very tactical.
And deeply researced.
Yes.
There's tons of statistics and data behind it.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
And it makes sense because he's, he is an admitted nerd. And he's, what did he say? He said, what did he say? You asked me what kind of nerd am I or something, and he said yes. So he's like all of the above.
Totally.
He's got a TEDx talk that is, I made a note of what it's called The Skill of Humor, and it's like 19 minutes long, but he's super funny.
He's
got
really
a great
funny.
Sense of humor.
Yeah, and I love too because one of the things that I thought, okay, well, there are a lot of people, and, too, in one of the businesses that we own, we're kind of in that, the business that we serve are engineers. We work with a lot of engineers, a lot of companies that hire engineers. And so sometimes there's this, and Andrew is an engineer, Drew, as he is called the short for
efficiency purposes. I love that.
But, there were many people who maybe were listening that were thinking, well, I'm not that funny, or I have a weird sense of humor, or I have what I found interesting too is that humor is a skill that can be learned.
Yep.
And that there are different ways that you can implement it into, and kind of ways to dip your toes into starting to use humor in different situations in the workplace.
Yeah.
So.
No, and the strategy behind, the approach to it. So that map concept.
Yes.
You consider your medium, so your outlet, your venue, your audience. So is this somebody who you know well, or is this somebody who you're just meeting for the first time? And be careful.
Exactly, because a joke between the two of us versus somebody we've just met, probably don't want to cross.
Qualify as well. And then purpose. So the last part of MAP, purpose is number 3. So why? is it to make a better connection? Is it to influence? Is it in a teaching kind of moment? So again, a lot of kind of tactical, strategy around it, which I never would have thought before we had this conversation with them.
No, and I think it's brilliant. One of the things that he had talked about too, where there are so many benefits, like more benefits than we can even list. I mean, there's pages and pages of benefits that are backed by research. One of the things we were talking about specifically was around leaders and utilizing it in the way that they deliver, in a meeting, or and he gave an example of a CEO that was having trouble connecting with people like below the sea level, and so he shared this story, and it created this sense of connection, and it was a humorous kind of story about knock jokes, and so anyway, it changed the perception. It created a common ground, so that there could be that connection. And so there's a lot of ways that we can utilize it. And then again, but I love that there are a lot of ways you can utilize it, and there is a strategy behind how to go ahead and, quote, map that out, for lack of not trying to be funny, but it is called MAP.
Right.
A humor map.
Yeah. I jotted down, he said, if people laugh, they listen. If they listen, they can be influenced.
Yes.
So
that's powerful.
That was a great little nugget that he shared.
He's sharing all kinds of nuggets. I also really felt like there was a lot of power. And when I asked the question about, are there ways you shouldn't use humor in the workplace? I was expecting a different answer. Yeah. I thought it was going to be things around political,
like keeping it PC,
that kind of thing.
Me too.
And so when he shared the 4 different types of humor that can be used, so the positive, inclusive, self-enhancing humor, self-defeating, and then aggressive, and gave different examples around that, it really is it's a good listen. Super educational. And just thinking about humor in a way you haven't thought about humor before, which was the really fun part too. It was like, I never thought about this before.
Yes.
So
I loved it.
Yeah, we're just funny by mistake.
Right. We're so not intentional, it just comes naturally.
Exactly. Just wait, people. We're going to be mapping up a storm.
Oh my God.
Anyway, lots of great stuff, you guys. Check us out on AbsoluteAdvantageLeadership.com. You can catch the whole episode of Andrew Tarvin's interview on AbsoluteAdvantagePodcast.com. And then we've got all kinds of really cool things going on. We have an upcoming webinar on the 6 secrets of the highest performing leaders. There's a download there at the Absolute Advantage Leadership website. So come check us out. Check us out on social media. We'd love to continue to interact here and work with you. So
thank you so much. We'll see you soon.